Hey guys, I'm back again. I know I already did a couple videos, but I wanted to read to you Psalms 149. And, you know, we hear about all the stuff going on in the world. I was just on Watchman on the Wall 88's channel, watching one of his videos talking about some things that are going on in Israel. A lot of stuff's happening in Israel. A lot of it ties to this coming weekend and the following week, involving the elections, Passover, ceremonies they're doing. I told you guys in a video I posted earlier, I was on earthcams.com and I was watching the Western Wall, and I was watching, they had this great big tent set up and the area cordoned off, and a bunch of government vehicles were in there. I don't know what they were doing, but and 12 days ago they did the same thing. Obviously something's going on. Obviously they're preparing for something. They're trying to do a dress rehearsal for the Passover sacrifice, and they have the permits now. And this is all for the information I'm giving you now is from Watchman on the Wall 88. Go check out his newest video he just put up, and he's got all the details in there. But they're going to do a dress rehearsal with an animal sacrifice for the Passover sacrifice. This is big. Prophetically, this is very, very big. And it just so happens it's going to be Nisan 1, which a lot of people believe that's the day Jesus was born. It was on Nisan 1. Sometime there's a lot of contention between whether it was 4 AD or 6 AD or BC, whatever. Anyway, everybody pretty much universally agrees it was Nisan 1 when he was born. And that's the beginning of the Hebrew year. A lot of stuff's tied to that. So go over there and watch Watchman on the Wall 88 channel. His link is in the description. And watch that video. It's the newest one he just put up. A lot of good information about what's going on over there. But in this video, I'm going to read Psalms 149. And it's, every now and then you got to put some uplifting in there. You got to uplift your brethren. You have to encourage people. Even as a watchman, you know, I can tell you guys about all the bad stuff that's going on, but what good is it to tell you about all the bad stuff if we don't temper it with some good stuff? Psalms 149. Praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord. Guys, the greatest quote from Billy Graham. Somebody had asked him, so why are you so happy and believing in the God of the Bible and everything? And he said, and this was his words, he said, I read the last chapter, we win. And this points to that too. We win. We may be going through a lot of things now. We may be dealing with a lot of issues now. And we can look at them and go, oh, why is God punishing me? Why am I going through all this stuff? You know what? In all honesty, and I've just come to realize this. In fact, I had an epiphany last night, and I was watching somebody else's video. I can't remember which one it was. It was Living Waters. No, it wasn't Living Waters. Still Waters, something like that. Anyway, he was talking about, and I did a video on this, about the beating Jesus took. And he was talking about the damage that cat of nine tails does. And they had a guy on each side of him hitting him, and I was tearing him up. And as he was describing that, I was thinking, all the pains that I've had from this connective tissue disease and carpal tunnel and everything, and where all my pains are, and listening to him describe that, it's like, wow, that's like the pains where I have my pains are the same places where they beat him and where he was torn up. You know, the crown of thorns, I have migraines, the carpal tunnel where the spikes went in the hands right there, in the top of the wrist, the bottom of the hand. That's where all the pain is, and all over my body, across my back, across my shoulders, around my sides. You know, kind of put things in perspective, and it's like, you know what? I'm not really too upset about living life in pain. My feet, both my feet, I have it in the spot where they put the spike on him. I have the pain there too now, especially with the jacked up ankle. And I got to thinking that, you know what? All this pain that I'm going through, it's inconsequential compared to what we're going to experience when we get there, when he comes and he takes us up, and then we return back, and this earth it goes through that time of refreshing and that time of rejuvenation during the 1,000-year millennium reign. All this stuff we're dealing with, all the mocking, the hating, people getting mad at us, smile. Smile and take joy in the fact that he saw or decided you were worthy to go through these things. They're not bad things. These are blessings to us. Because if you have an easy life where you don't go through any troubles, what have you experienced? What have you done? What have you gone through? You should, as a good Christian, you should have trials in your life. You should have things you're going through. Number one, we make mistakes. And a loving father goes to his children and says, hey, little swat on the butt, stop doing that. And he lets us go through these things to keep us humble, and we endure them. And as we learn and grow as a Christian, we endure those things. We become wiser. We understand more. We get more humble. We realize where our place is. It's all designed for our betterment. And I did a video where I showed the scriptures about all things work for the good of those he loves. Well, if you're going through some stuff and you can look at your life and go, I'm pretty much on the path. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and what he told me to do. That's a good thing that you're going through these things. He decided you were worthy to suffer in his name. Because after this, when we end up there is no more suffering. There's no more pain. There's no more sickness. You don't get tired anymore. None of that stuff that we're experiencing here exists in heaven. None of it. And we won't have to deal with that anymore. And our glorified bodies are incorruptible. We won't suffer through old age and all those things that come with getting old and dealing with I've worked hard labor all my life, and I pay for it now because I've worn my body out at a fairly early age. None of that will happen anymore. And so this little bit of time, this 60, 80, maybe 100 years that we live on this earth, going through what we go through, is nothing compared to an eternity of not having to go through that. When you put it on the scale and weigh the balances to see which one is worse than the other, what we're going to experience far outweighs anything we deal with here. It may seem bad, but in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. Because if you think about it, if I have a good life, but I don't come to Christ and I end up in hell, that's an eternity of suffering. Why would I want to go through that? I'd rather go through a little bit of suffering here, 60, 80 years here, and be done with it, and then go into glory and not have to suffer that anymore for all eternity. It's a fair trade-off, very fair trade-off in my view. So anyway, I give you guys a lot of other stuff, but I like to come in here and throw in some uplift, throw in some stuff to refresh you and to fire you up and to point you in the right direction and keep your eyes up. Guys, there's so much. This weekend and this next week, high watch time, there is so much about to happen, especially Saturday, because Obama is going to be in Berlin at that museum. I told you guys about that. They call that the seat of Satan. It's where they took that temple they found and shipped it over there. And right after that, the Nazi party was built, I think within 2 years, and they started war across the planet. Then the Russians stole it, the artifacts, and the big, they call it the throne or the seat of Satan. They stole all of it, then they came up into power. And then Germany managed to get it back. Of course, at that time we were allies with them, so we helped them. But, man, all this prophecy that we're seeing happening, all these things that are going on behind the scenes. I showed you guys the video talking about the 7 Noahide laws and how they're pushing it around the world. You guys need to research this. It is vitally important that you pay attention to what's going on. When those of us who have been called to be watchmen, and I can go ahead and say it now because obviously I'm in that role. When we put out a piece of information like that, analyze it, bounce it off the scriptures. Make sure that what we're giving you is right. But then when you prove that to yourself, go do more research on that, because you need to know these things. You need to know what to look for. And even if we get raptured out before any of this stuff happens, you can let other people around you know about these things. So then whenever it does happen, all that will come to remembrance to them. And they'll realize, wow, they were standing right there telling me this the whole time and I never caught it. I ignored them. That's going to help them seek out that salvation and get saved during the tribulation. So don't worry so much about the people that may be left behind. First of all, we don't know who's going to get left behind. Second of all, if you arm them with knowledge, they will remember it after the rapture. I promise you that. Then there's no excuse. They're either going to pick the bad guy's side or the good guy's side. There's not going to be any more fence riding. I love you guys. If I get something else, I'll put up another video. Yeah, there's still time to put another one up. If I get something else, I'll give you guys another video. Otherwise, I will see you in the clouds.